Hi everybody, Gary Williams here, reaching out to friends all over the place really to find out how we in the artistic community are coping with this crazy coronavirus situation. I'm so happy, kind of honoured actually, because he's the man of the moment, to be joined by Jon Courtenay, who's sitting over there in an absolute bloody mess. What's going on there, Jon?
I've been so busy, the phone's been ringing, the emails, I haven't had time to tidy up. And then you said you wanted to do a Zoom call and I haven't had I can tidy up now quickly if you like. Just give me a sec. Is that better?
That's a little bit better. That's like your cabin on the ship.
Oh, yeah, right. What ships do you think I've been on? I've been having so much fun with this green screen.
So for anybody who does not know, and not many people will not know much about you now because you've been all over, all over the TV screens. I mean, I've been talking to people how they're coping with lockdown, and it's all a bit doom and gloom, and we're trying to, just read a book or something. Whereas you have probably had the most successful lockdown imaginable.
It was serendipitous timing, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was quite obviously. I mean, we recorded the auditions were back in January, and then as far as we knew, the live shows were going to be at the end of May.
We're talking about Britain's Got Talent. For those that missed it, right? Britain's Got Talent.
Britain's Got Talent. Yeah. What did I say?
You didn't say anything, so I'm just making sure.
Sorry, the auditions were back in. Yeah. So nobody knew this was going to happen, and it's all sort of up in the air. And my kids are actually quite upset because I can't go out and be famous. They want me to walk around and get recognised and sign autographs and have selfies, and that's not happening. Which is it's kind of nice in a way.
Tell me how does I don't know how these things work. So obviously it's pre-recorded. So as you said, you were auditioned in January, and have the public seen anything of your Britain's Got Talent journey until what we saw the other night, or was that was the first thing that anybody officially knew about it?
No, that was the first thing. I mean, there was a few little leading up to it. They did some leaks on Instagram and things like that we'd filmed at that time as well.
Yeah,
little bits and pieces. But no, there was no. I had to keep it a secret. I mean, the official line was I was allowed to tell people that I'd auditioned. But I couldn't tell, you don't want to spoil it and tell people what had happened anyway. So I hadn't even told I've got a bunch of cousins and aunties and uncles, and they all knew I was doing it because we had a little Zoom party when it was broadcast, because we were going to have a party at the house, and champagne and nibbles and things like that. So we couldn't do that. And my mum lives on her own. So it's kind of sad that we couldn't get her with us to watch it. So I set up a Zoom party. And we had about 20 cameras, I think, all on the screen. Nice. And it was amazing. I didn't really watch it at the time because it was the first time I'd seen the broadcast as well. It was the first time I'd seen my kids' reactions. So it was really emotional for me as well.
Your kids are adorable.
They can be.
They certainly were. You primed them well. I mean, they did it for you.
It looks like that, doesn't it? I tell you, I had no idea that either they were that photogenic, but also that they were that emotionally involved. I mean, when Nathan ran up on the stage, I don't think they actually caught my face as he was running up, because he was running up before anything else had happened, long before the golden buzzer or anything. I just saw Nathan running along the front of the stage, and I said, what are you doing? And then obviously one of the producers had said, do you want to run up and actually they said it to Alfie first. They said, do you want to go up and see your dad? And Alfie had a bit of a breakdown. It was just all too much for him, to be in the theatre. And he was so excited to see Ant and Dec and everything. So he basically froze, and Nathan just ripped off his mic and said, I'm going. And he just ran. And then, of course, he was there for the rest of the event on stage, which was
so
fun.
Have there been, is there more to come? I don't know how it works. So it's a competition. And I guess, are you going to be on every week for a while, or do you just show up at the final, have you filmed any more yet?
No, we haven't filmed anymore. No, not at all. Getting the golden buzzer means that you go directly through to the semi-finals, because even if you get 4 yeses, that's not a guarantee that you go through to the semis. They still have to do their deliberation, which you normally see on the last episode of the auditions. Right. There'll be this thing where the judges will be at a table with all the headshots of all the acts. And you'll see them going, yeah, I don't like that, didn't like that. So that 4 yeses doesn't guarantee you in the semis anyway. The only thing that guarantees you in the semis is to get the golden buzzers. That's what's kind of cool. And then that was meant to be filmed at the end of May. And then it's like a week, every day, the semis are on for every day. And then on the last day, it's the finals. So when I auditioned, I had to have something ready for the semis, thinking that it would be just a few weeks away from now. And now we don't know what's happening. I mean, they're looking just later.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are they going to do now in the light of the virus? So things are sort of pretty much on hold from, as far as you're concerned, for now until eventually we'll be able to get back to normal and they'll pick up where they left off. The question I wanted to ask you is, you've been around, like I have, for quite a long time. You're a fantastic act. You're a very well established, much loved act. And, you know, I'm wondering what is that you must sort of balance there's a risk and a benefit, right, of going on something like this, because it could go wrong, right? Absolutely. It could be on there, it could tell you that you're terrible and whatever, because you're already sort of doing it. I mean, you're already at the top of your game, aren't you? You know, I mean, you know, there's not much. I mean, of course, you could have your own TV show, and those things are possible. But why do it? Why someone as established and successful as you do something like BGT?
I think I've been asked this a couple of times. I still haven't got a real answer. I think that I was doing okay. I mean, years ago I was doing a lot of stuff in the UK, and I was doing the holiday centres and the clubs and the pubs and wherever the gigs came in. Didn't get a big break. I was working continuously. I think the show was working, you know. And then I started doing a few cruises and discovered sort of a niche. I mean, I wrote a show that basically catered to the cruise market. With songs to do with that. So that worked. And then the American ships started getting interested, which was a whole nother thing. That was incredible. Having some American audiences and that level of enthusiasm yelling for you. And the money was good. But because I started doing a lot of them, I started leaving a lot of the UK stuff behind me. And I think that when I finally decided to do Britain's Got Talent, I thought, well, hopefully I'll get my name back into the UK, because there is television possibilities. There are other possibilities outside of cabaret, which I'd like to explore. Yeah.
And what's the dream for you? I mean, realistically, I mean, you know, of course, we can all reach for the stars, but you know, what would be a great sort of outcome from this? If obviously you'd want to win it, and if you win it, what happens then? I mean, what's the likely outcome? Do previous winners, have they done well? Do they get their own TV shows and stuff? Or, you know, is it a tricky time for an act like you to know how to handle it, what to do with that success?
Yeah, well, it really is. I mean, years ago, I sort of dabbled with acting a little bit, and absolutely loved that in the theatre, darling, in the theatre, 25 years, and absolutely adored that. I mean, that was, I think if my one-man show hadn't taken off, I think I probably would have pursued that avenue and maybe done drama school and tried to get into that. So a dream would be that this sort of gives me enough exposure that maybe I can branch back into that again and try and, you know, because you can juggle both. You can do both. There's a lot of our fellow artists that have managed to come from cabaret variety performers going into acting. Shane Ritchie springs to mind. Shane was a fantastic stage performer and now a very successful actor. So it honestly wasn't a long-term plan. I was never going to do Britain's Got Talent because I didn't know what to do. I mean, my show sort of stands alone as an hour long. I'll say an hour, but sometimes we know it goes over occasionally. It sort of stands alone as a show because one thing leads into another. It isn't just that I'm standing there sort of singing a song and doing a song. It sort of links together with the comedy and the piano and I had no idea what to do in 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes on Britain's Got Talent that could stand alone and show what I do.
Well, how do I try and did was, sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to ask you that because it was, I thought it was such a risky thing to do what you did, and it worked. So it was the right thing to do. But, you know, I've seen you work, you know, you're very dynamic, very funny. There are loads of things that you have got right now that you've been doing for years that you could have given that Palladium audience that would have had them up and dancing around, clapping, singing along, laughing. And yet you went a completely different route.
Yeah, I don't know if it would, you see, because I think the stuff that I do on stage works because you're watching a whole show. Because, I mean, a lot of people say at the beginning of my show, we weren't too sure because I sort of start my show off. You haven't seen my show for a while now, but my show starts off putting the audience a bit on the back foot, a bit like, what is this? What's going on? And then hopefully I win them over. And it's like a play. It's like a process. It's like, I don't want to sound too arty about it, but it's taken that thought to sort of move from one thing. And by the end of it, they've been on this sort of journey. There's a bit of emotion, there's comedy, there's music. And I honestly didn't know what I could take out of that to make an audience go, yay, in just 3. It's really tough.
Exactly.
If I just do a song, then it's a song and I show that I play and I can sing a bit, but it doesn't really show the comedy. And if I just do some stand-up's tough at Britain's Got Talent because you start very cold. And I didn't want to take 3 minutes of that. And it was a mutual friend of ours, Jamie Allen. I was on a ship with Jamie, and he hadn't seen my show for quite a while. And I had a good night, I had a great audience, and we had a beer afterwards. And Jamie's had some experience with Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent. He's mutual friends that have had good experiences with him. And he said, why don't you do it? Why haven't you done Britain's Got Talent? Just to get that, 9 million viewers roughly watch it. It will get you this, if nothing else, you'll get a couple of corporate shows out of it. You'll get some exposure. And I said to Jamie, what do I do? What do I do out of what you've just seen? What stands alone? And Jamie very nonchalantly said, just write a song about Britain's Got Talent, because that's what you do. You write songs, because sometimes I pick on people in the audience and I make up a quick song about them. He said, you've got time to compose a song. And I said, oh yeah, easy to say. And I wrote it that night. Pretty much what you heard, give or take, was almost came out in one sitting, because it was all there. It was all, it wasn't insincere. Everything I sung about and was sort of real. And I managed to get a few jokes in there. They actually cut a couple of jokes out of the song, and they really went for the emotive side of it with the kids, which is great. I mean, it looks great. But I've had some wonderful comments online from people that saw it along the lines of, we can't wait to see what you're going to do in the live shows. You should try being funny, because we think you could be funny. And I was like, oh man, I was thinking of myself as a comedian before I'm a musician, really. So,
but you've done the same as what you normally do in your shows. You've kind of started a little bit left field. You've kind of, it's like when you get to know an actor in some kind of drama series, and then suddenly you hear them singing, and they sing wonderfully. But of course, we only knew them as the actor. We didn't know what else. And that's what's great, because you've had this success with Britain's Got Talent already, and people just know you can play the piano a bit and sing a bit of a funny, nice little song. But when you start doing what you really do, you're going to blow their socks off.
Well, yeah, hopefully. I've actually written another original thing for the semis, which I'm not allowed to talk about, but I wrote it long before this current situation. And it needs to be rewritten now, because it could be taken the wrong way because of the current situation, even though it was written before this even happened. So I've got to go back and revisit that. But it's a very out there. It's funny. I think it's not really emotive. It's funny, and it's out there. It's a bit Python-esque. It's got a lot of influences from all the people that I grew up watching. And I was really pleased when I wrote it. And I thought, this is, when you've written something that you feel good about that is going to work. So I'm really hoping that I can still make it work, even after all this has passed us.
It's such a strange thing for you to experience this sort of explosion of interest in your career while we're in lockdown now. I mean, in normal circumstances, it's crazy, but it's so strange, isn't it? And how do you think this lockdown, is affecting and going to affect your career? Because of course we've all been impacted. Everybody in the entertainment world has been impacted.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really, really tough. I mean, I'm very lucky in that I've got this. You can't see the studio; it just looks like I'm in a posh lounge. But I've got a great studio set up, which I'd never used. I mean, I had all this gear.
You're talking about cameras and lights and the green screen and all the rest of it.
Everything. I mean, I had it all. I had a project years ago I thought I might do with a green screen, so I had all the green screen, all the lights, and then I had a couple of really decent high-def cameras and the microphone stuff. And I'd never put it all together. I'd use little bits for different things, And then I started looking at it, and there's a promotional video of mine that shows me doing a Zoom thing, but not with the green screen, and it basically looks like I'm in my lounge. And then, of course, with the green screen, you can be anywhere. You can have a theatre behind you and stuff. So I gradually started setting it all up with a lot of help from some of our mutual friends that are much more technically minded than I am, because it's a minefield. There's so much stuff to learn very quickly, and I just want to make people laugh. All of a sudden, I'm buying HDMI cables and boxes and jacks and trying to get this set up. But now I've got this set up. I'm quite lucky that I am doing some online stuff, so some virtual events. I've done a couple of online business events that people have booked me to appear at, and I'm still writing custom songs. So that's kind of nice that I'm writing to order.
Are you doing, like a lot of us are doing what we do? We're doing our shtick, doing our business from home to entertain our followers, our fan base. Are you doing that?
I haven't done a public show yet as such. My sort of thinking behind my act is that once it's out there, it's out there. I mean, there's social media is that's the one thing that is really taking me by surprise, because I wasn't really a big social media person for business before all this happened. I'd occasional tweet, picture of my lunch, one of those awful, Facebook was all about friends and connecting, keeping my mum up to date with where I was. Instagram was pictures of the kids and the dogs. And then all of a sudden this happened, and my manager's saying, oh, now we need to I'd never used a hashtag until Saturday night. I swear on my life, I'd never used a hashtag. I didn't know what the thing was. So all of a sudden, as it broadcast on Saturday night, you can imagine that the phone just starts going, and then my manager says, yeah, so you need to tweet that. I'm like, okay, and don't forget to hashtag and tag everybody. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. But that's what you've got to do now, especially in the situation we're in. I mean, it is virtual, and our followers on TikTok. TikTok is nuts. I mean, are you part of this? Have you done the whole TikTok thing?
We're both far too old for TikTok.
Too old. That's what I. Luckily, I've got a 15-year-old son who's really into it, and he said, "Dad, I'm going to help you. Just do this and this." And we've set up these little daft things where you do voiceovers, and he's really milking the gold confetti, and we've got all these little videos and stuff. And he's been on it for a couple of years, and I think he's got about 8,000 followers in a couple of years. And we started it on Saturday. And I think today I've got 19.7 thousand followers, and my son is gutted.
So, I mean, something's happening. You're getting old when your kids are explaining stuff to you, right? So, listen, if people want to see more about you, I mean, I assume you've got a website, or what's the place to get in contact with you? And I mean, there must be stuff out there of you doing your thing, because people will be watching this that didn't see the Britain's Got Talent. I guess that's going to be on YouTube now, is it? Or
sure, I mean, the BGT channel have got it on there, which we're not allowed to use because it's on their channel. So you can, if you type in Jon Courtenay into YouTube, it comes up on there. If you go to my YouTube channel is Jon Courtenay with a number 2, and if you go on that, I've actually just put on there the whole version of the song, because as I say, it was cut slightly for the broadcast. So right. My audition tape, which I sent in, which is the whole song, me looking a little bit nervous. So that's the whole version of the song is on there, and then my website is twistedpianist.com. You might want to be careful how you type that in, but twistedpianist.com. And through that you can contact my manager, and you can leave me messages, and then there's all the usual Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's Jon Courtenay. It's all over there too.
It is so exciting. I mean this genuinely, to see somebody that you know, for this to be happening to them. I mean, I know can't really imagine what it's like for you to be an observer. Seeing this is just so exciting, and I must be honest, I don't normally watch much telly at all, but I'm going to be glued to it whenever it does happen, because it's amazing to see this thing happening in real time before our eyes, and I'm thrilled to see where it's going to get you, Jon. Thank you for talking to us today, and we're going to follow you like hawks, and who knows, I might even get a TikTok account so I can see what you're doing.
Do it. Get some help.
Yeah, exactly. Take care, mate. Lots of love. Bye.
Thanks, Gary. Bye.